So I want to ask you one of the things that's really impressive about the work you're doing at LinkedIn is this metrics platform that you've built. It's called iHub, and I was confused when I saw iHub. It sounded like an Apple product to me
Yeah.
originally. So for listeners, it stands for Insights Hub, of course. Share with listeners what are the kind of core capabilities of this platform that you've built.
Yeah. So the vision for Insights Hub by now is actually like a suite of products. It grew out of data. So we began by kind of collecting data. We collected build data, we collected CI data, we collected deployments data, and we started using, kind of like your standard business intelligence tools. So Power BI, Tableau, Apache Superset, Grafana, like all these different tools are great at making charts. And we used a collection of those to kind of make the first generation of like, okay, here's a dashboard where you can go look at a chart and you can say like, oh, here's how often we had CI failures for this repository in the last week or whatnot. And what we found in doing that is that you kind of end up making, the way I see them, I'm gonna blank on this. It's He's a famous painter who's known for making like blocks of color. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I'm
It's a
not.
really
Yeah.
famous painter. Okay, it's escaping me. If there's a comment section, somebody in the comments will recognize this. But
Yep.
you kind of end up looking at these like dashboards, and they just look like big blobs of color. You're like, well, wait, what did we really do here? It's like, well, we made rectangles on the screen, and these are like meaningful rectangles. That's our claim, at least. And, we did that for a while. And then eventually we realized like, this is not having the impact that we want. And so, the first step was kind of taking all these different things. I did this like study at LinkedIn when we started 4 years ago, where I was like, let me just see all the data we have and all the places you can go. And I think it turned into like a 20 to like 40-page document. It was like there's a dashboard here, there's a Google Sheet here, there's a Tableau workbook here, there's an Excel spreadsheet here. They're all tracking different things. They all have different workflows. They all have different data sets. Like, it's overwhelming. Everybody has made their own little kingdom or little queendom, and like nobody's synchronized. Very few people are automated. And so we realized like there needs to be a single destination. So that was like one aspect of Insights Hub. Let's make a single destination. We realized too that like I think I gave this talk a couple years ago. In the analytics world, you go from a progression. Like you can kind of be informative, and then you can try and be, like a little more interpretive, and then you can really try and understand like you could be predictive, you could be prescriptive. Like there's dimensions to it. And we said, what we really need is something where people can like understand and manage their metrics and their data. And we really want to move LinkedIn as a business to being what we call like data informed and metrics forward. So it doesn't mean that, metrics become the hammer by which everything is crushed, or everything is, right? It's not the yardstick by which everything now becomes measured. But like, we want people to be able to do it. And oftentimes, if you just go to orgs and you're like, use metrics, right? Like this is sometimes the story that plays out. Someone, up high pounds the desk and says, we need to be using metrics. And then everybody runs around, makes numbers, and says, I think I fulfilled the need. And you're like, that's not actually what we mean by metrics forward. So Insights Hub kind of evolved out of these, like this spattering of different dashboards. It evolved out of these business intelligence tools. We now, as part of the Insights Hub suite, have kind of three core products. One of them is really focused on the quantitative that we were talking about before. So this mostly renders metrics. It focuses on productivity almost exclusively. It includes things like you can answer questions like, how long is the median build time at the company? How long do code reviews take at the company? We also have one called, we call it persona experience. So that's capturing more the qualitative. And you can ask questions like, what's the sentiment around internal tooling? How happy are developers with GitHub, for instance? And then the latest one that we've developed is really focused on kind of these operational reviews. So we find that whether you do them synchronously or asynchronously, there needs to be some kind of place that you're looking at the information regularly. So we call this operational insights. And you can kind of now create priorities, you can associate metrics with priorities, you can do weekly check-ins, and think of it as kind of this hybrid between um, Jira and Power BI, and I don't know if anyone's ever heard of Microsoft Viva Goals is like a thing. So it's in this hybrid space, but we're kind of using that now as a framework for these operational reviews.